Now, I come across this the other day. It looks like Blockbuster is starting to make a comeback, but not as a video rental store. Instead, it's a pop-up bar. This is apparently one that's in LA. You guys can pause the video and read about it here if you'd like. If you didn't break into your own house after school, are you even Gen X? You had to put your TV on channel 3 whenever you wanted to watch a movie or play video games. There's a lot to process with this new parental verification on my child's iPad. Parent required. Age check question. What is a VCR used for? If you didn't feel old already, Chuck E. Cheese tokens that always made you feel like you were carrying around precious gold coins. Cheap concert tickets. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but you guys are welcome to. Stamps that came with Columbia House VHS order forms in the mail. All the coupons and rebates that come inside Disney VHS tapes. Yeah, you take them out of the case and throw them straight into the trash. The dancing flower, which actually really entertained you. I actually don't remember this. Any of you guys remember these things? Maybe this is more of a millennials. Entering a music festival. Leaving a music festival. Erasable ink pens that were usually blue ink that never erased, and you'd end up just making a hole in the paper while trying to do so. I actually found some of these in a box of stuff from the last time that I moved. And they still sort of worked as far as writing with them, but yeah, they never did erase any count. A lucky eggs machine that would always get you something if you went to the supermarket with your parents. Finally, a kid without a smartphone. Yeah, that was actually a lot healthier than the smartphones these days. The Fisher-Price Parking Ramp Service Center playset, which you mainly just used to race cars up and down. Which era made you a gamer? They needed to add a few before Mario, but put your favorite game down in the comments, whatever the title is. The Garfield bookmarkers that you'd get at the Scholastic Book Fair. The skill of taking selfies with a flip phone. The Garbage Pail Kids. Now, this is another one I don't remember. Is this a late 90s, early 2000s thing, or? I don't know, I just don't remember them. A few things Gen X has grown to miss. Being the last generation to have to walk across the room to change a TV channel. Being able to fix the TV by pounding on it the right way. Getting the brown box for the TV, and there only being 3 stations. What defined Gen X growing up was living under the constant threat of nuclear war. If you wonder why Gen X is defined as whatever, it's because we believed at some point in our future we'd end up living or dying in a nuclear winter. The USSR was the evil empire, and watching the succession of premiers being executed or disappeared confirmed that. So much so that when Gorbachev actually started the process of perestroika, I didn't believe it. I thought it was some kind of plot by the Russians to make us let our guard down. The threat of nuclear war was constant. The continuation of human life on the planet was not a given. Well, I guess that gives a new meaning to what's old is new again. We've come all the way back to where we started, guys. Except this time, I truly do not believe that it's going to stop. Some of y'all never read $100 to get that personal pan pizza, and it shows. Our childhood was easy because we only got kidnapped twice by the guy with the white van. They forgot about Gen X. Again. That's okay. I don't mind being forgotten about, just as long as they leave me alone, too. Get in, loser. We're gonna revisit childhood memories till we get real sad. It's 1973 and Mom is so happy. She says her new oven color is so pretty, it's never gonna go out of style. My grandma had an oven that was just about like this, except the color was a little bit lighter green. 1990s. Me watching for commercials to the end. 2023. Me waiting 4 seconds to skip a YouTube ad. This is true. Remember when you couldn't find a lighter? Childhood injuries. Fell off my bike. Fell out of a tree. Skinned my knee. Adult injuries. I slept wrong. sat down too long, sneezed too hard. Yep, pretty much. How many of y'all burn a CD old? I'm record songs played on the radio onto cassette tape and a boombox old. There's actually people now that don't know what a cassette tape is. My 4 moods. I need coffee. I need a nap. I need a vacation. I need duct tape, a rope, and a shovel. Monty Python horseshoes. My kids. Dad, I'm bored. Me. Listen, your grandma didn't even know where I was from 1984 to 1996. Go play with some rocks or something. Just don't be mad if they ever discover a slingshot and shoot one through the window. 90s TV. The super annoying head-on commercial that constantly played throughout the day and on the weekends. How many of you guys remember these? I'd forgotten about them till I saw this, but man, they played all the time. Who's old enough to remember when these came wrapped in tin foil? If you know what it is, put it down in the comments. I remember the day my college got the internet. We all swarmed the computer lab to see what it was all about. Also noticed the TV sitting next to the computer screen, which they used those to play VHS tapes with the headphones there. The iHome stereo with the remote, which was also such a flex if you owned one. This is for you millennials there. I do remember that that's the iPod, which predated the iPhone and the everything else. I never saw this little speaker setup though, that I can remember. Remember the countdown to saying goodbye to Joe Camel and the Marlboro Man? Things that Gen Z says. How much better athletes are today. I've had some turds tell me that Michael Jordan would just be average today. Shaq can't shoot, and that the 1980s Lakers would not be competitive today. That's a laugh. I think even with as old as they are right now, if you took Jordan, Shaq, Barkley, and who else would you guys pick to put together a team right now, and I'd still say that they could beat some of the NBA teams today. The black and white Lipton Brisk Iced Tea commercials that featured claymation celebrities. The Mac versus PC commercials. McGruff the crime dog. Take a bite out of crime. McDonald's gift certificates, which was always a default gift to someone who didn't know what to get you. The red Netflix envelope, which was always a little thrill when you saw it in the mail. A lot of the younger generation think that's just a joke when you tell them that Netflix used to come in the mail. I remember going to the dollar movies with a huge purse full of wine coolers. Nintendo Game Boy was taking selfies before it was cool. I actually didn't know that they had a camera, let alone that they had a Game Boy printer. McDonald's when they had red roofs with a yellow accent and white painted brick walls as their color schemes. Yeah, now they're just all gray and look depressed. Kind of like their food. Are you financially better off than your parents? Are things getting better or worse, objectively speaking, for newer generations? That's a good question. Let me go upstairs and ask them. Didn't I have this already? A small child cannot comprehend that the Game Boy does not have a touchscreen. That's kind of sad, actually. This was the beginning of my lifelong anxiety. Because you're worth it. That would have made a pretty good advertisement back then. This is a bit embarrassing, but recently I've been really enjoying going to bed at 9:30. I didn't grow up with Call of Duty. I grew up with this. Yeah, I grew up with Pong, Mario, and Tetris. Doctor, so when would you say the neck pain started? Me. You guys remember when these was in all the stores? Like they'd be 3 or 4 different consoles and electronics in Walmart. What you think Zelda was 20 years ago? What Zelda actually was 20 years ago? Phones on the back of headrest on planes. I bet that would have been an expensive call. Therapist. Where do you think your anxiety came from? Me. It was 1988 and here's one for some of you millennials. I remember these, but I never did really understand the game. These poster displays you'd find in the back of the store, and the satisfying cluck cluck sound they would make whenever you'd flip to the next one. The singing mutant Quiznos hamsters that were just horrifying. They were horrifying. Why in the world did they make that into a commercial? I can't wait to take my kids to the park. That would be Gen X. Gen X here, born in 1975. I remember when VCRs first came on the scene in the US. For the first year or two, only rich people could actually afford to buy a VCR. They cost like $500 plus. So in order to rent a VHS tape to watch at home, you also had to rent the whole VCR, complete with cables. I remember doing that for special occasions like birthday parties. It was super exciting when the price for VCRs dropped enough to be affordable to middle-class families. And then, as soon as you could buy a second VCR, you could make copies. McDonald's drive-thru menus when they looked like this and weren't digital. Yeah, they didn't have to worry about changing the prices as fast as they do now. Sprite Remix, which tasted like sugary deliciousness. I don't remember if I ever tried that or not. I just saw this on the news the other day and I thought it was funny. Armed carjacking gang foiled because they couldn't drive Porsche's stick shift. They attempted a stick up, but couldn't drive a stick. Calling time and temperature to check the time and outside temperature. Now everyone has instant access to this current information, but I remember calling TNT several times in an afternoon. I don't know why. Is there even a time and temperature number anymore? That's actually a good question. I should look that up and find out. If you needed to act like you were talking to someone, that'd be a perfect number to put in your speed dial. The
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Taco Bell Chihuahua. I had to include this because this definitely sounds like Gen X. Arkansas men arrested for taking turns shooting each other while wearing bulletproof vests after drinking. God forbid men have hobbies. PBS is made possible thanks to viewers like you. 4-year-old me. Tybo. How many of you guys remember these commercials? Seems like you couldn't change the channel for it being on TV there for a long time. Targets with a Food Avenue restaurant instead of a Starbucks. TVs that came with built-in DVD and VHS players, which was such a flex if you owned one. I think I had one of these TVs one time, but I never bought it again because if anything happens to the VCR or the DVD player, then you're just kind of stuck with it. I'd always buy separate players after that. I had this one in my last Try Not to Laugh video series, but thought I'd throw it in here too. You can use Tide Pods to do your laundry. You won't die. Some are saying this is what they were made for. Old school vacuums that had one of those bags that filled up with air, gave off a whiff of old dust, and got really warm whenever it was used. When you only need to go back in time a few hours. You know, even a few hours would be really useful sometimes. The original video game for the masses. This is akornzstash signing off. Smash that subscribe button and check out my other videos for more memes stored in the Akornz stash. I thank you all for watching, and I hope this video has made your day a little better.